Welcome to JSR Voice. Now I want to discuss with you regarding all allowances and its types. Because allowances plays a very important role in calculation of income from salary. In income from salary format, first head is salary, second one is allowances. In the examination, they focus sometimes on allowances and they give so many items related to allowances. So it is very important on part of the students to learn and to know the rules of all different allowances. And this is useful sometimes for theory question also. Sometimes they will give you in the examination explain different types of allowances. So you can write regarding all allowances whatever I am going to explain now, so that it becomes one answer for that question. It is useful for doing solution as well as for writing answer to this question. Let us go and discuss that. So allowance means actually it is one fixed monetary benefit given by employer to employee for specific purpose. For example, employer gives house rent allowance, entertainment allowance, children education allowance. Okay, so these are different types of allowances for different purposes that is provided by employer to the employee. This is a definition of allowance. And for tax liability purpose, allowances are divided into different categories. But before that, whenever we want to impose any tax on allowances, or if we want to know the exemption amount in allowances, we have to divide the employees into two different categories. So who are those actually? So first one is special category employees and second one is general category employees. Okay, so who are special category employees? Like whatever actually mainly the higher officials in government department, they are known as special category employees. And if any allowance is received by special category employees, those are tax free. We should not impose on them any tax. And if you get these kind of allowances which are mentioned under special category of employees, so these if you get in any examination under allowances, those are fully exempted from tax and you should not record those allowances under allowances head. Okay, so what are those? Here there is a list. Allowances received by judges of High Court and Supreme Court. Allowances received by employees of UNO. Allowances received by a teacher, professor, research scholar from any foreign country which is SARC member nation. The exemption is allowed for a period of 2 years. Okay, so allowance received by chairman or member of UPSC. So these are different allowances which are received by special category employees. If you get these allowances, don't record under allowances. Okay, because fully exempted from tax. Fully exempted means no tax on that. Full allowance is not taxable, so don't record under that head in income from salary. And second employee category is general category employees. Okay, so for the employees which does not come under special category, those will come under general category employees. So here for general category employees, the allowances are divided into three types: fully taxable allowance, and next fully tax free allowance. Tax free means no tax will be given on that. Okay, no tax will be imposed on that. Okay, so next one is partly taxable allowance. Partly taxable means some portion is taxable, some portion is not taxable. Okay, so here how much is taxable, how much is not taxable, that is very important, and we will apply the rules and we will come to know about that. And here fully taxable allowance means if assessee, general category assessee receives this allowance completely taxable, so you can write full allowance amount under allowances. And fully tax free allowance, I will give list of fully taxable as well as fully tax free also. If fully tax free allowance he receives, then don't write under allowances because that is exempted, no tax on that. Okay, we will know the list of that allowance also. Okay, so here third one is partly taxable allowance. Partly taxable allowance means some portion of allowance is taxable, some portion is not taxable. How much is taxable, how much is not taxable, we will discuss that also. Okay, let us go and discuss that. So first, fully taxable allowances. Fully taxable allowances means the assessor receives any allowance under which are mentioned under fully taxable allowances. Those are completely taxable. We have to mention there under allowances in while calculating income from salary. Okay, so here there is a list. Dearness allowance. Dearness allowance means DA, and this is known as high cost of living allowance, and additional DA, city compensatory allowance. We can also call it as CCA in short form. Marriage allowance, family allowance, meals allowance, servant allowance, project allowance, interim relief, medical allowance, lunch allowance, overtime allowance, warden allowance, non-practicing allowance, tiffin allowance, dress allowance. Okay, so daily allowance, dress allowance is different and uniform allowance is different, remember that. So if assessee gets any allowances like this, these are fully taxable. So immediately you can write full amount under allowances. And next, foreign allowance. This allowance is fully tax free for government employees, and for others it is fully taxable. Okay, if any assessee is receiving foreign allowance, we should see whether he is government employee or non-government. If he is government employee, that is fully tax free, don't record under allowances. And if he is a non-government employee, it is fully taxable, you can record that. Okay, so DA, whenever it enters for retirement benefit, then it is known as DP. So okay, so that is also fully taxable, you can record under allowances. This is information regarding fully taxable allowances. And let us go to next one, fully tax free allowances. So what is the meaning of this exempted allowance? If assessee receives this allowance, that is completely tax free, don't write that allowance under the head allowances. What are that? Here there is a list. First one, foreign allowance to government employees. Second one, any allowance paid to high court and supreme court judges, chief election commissioner, present and former chairman and members of Union Public Service Commission, and allowances received by an employee of UNO, diplomatic and consulate staff of foreign government working in India from his employer. And fourth one, allowances received by a teacher, professor, researcher, scholar from a foreign country which is SARC member nation for a period of 2 years. Fifth one, allowance received by chairman or member of UPSC. In most of the cases, these fully tax-free allowances may not be given in question while solving income from salaries, but you have to have a look into this. It is useful for theory question as well as sometimes they may give in the examination while preparing income from salary statement. Okay, hope this is clear. And let us go and discuss third category of allowances, partly taxable allowance. Partly taxable means some portion of the allowance is taxable, we can write there under allowances. Some portion is not taxable, we should not write there under the head allowances while calculating income from salary. Okay, let us see what are those allowances and how much we can write, how much we should not write. So under this, first one is entertainment allowance, second one is house rent allowance, students. So entertainment allowance, already I discussed that rules of this entertainment allowance in the previous lectures, and I will give that here. So entertainment allowance deduction is allowed only for government employees, it is not allowed for non-government employees. Okay, so for non-government employees, full entertainment allowance is taxable, and for government employees, deduction is there. How much deduction? List of the following three amounts: 20% of salary, actual amount of allowance received plus receivable. Third one is 5,000 rupees. Okay, so salary means basic pay only. So these are the rules, and deduction is allowed only for government employees, no deduction for non-government employees. So these are the rules you should write for entertainment allowance, students. Okay, and next, house rent allowance. House rent allowance, actually if you want to give any deduction for house rent allowance, we have to categorize actually where actually the employee is living, whether in metropolitan city or non-metropolitan city. Okay, so we should see that. And if he is living in metropolitan city, the deduction is list of the following three. Okay, actual HRA received, and next one, second one is the rent paid minus 10% of salary. Third one is 40 metropolitan city. In case of metropolitan city, third one is 50% of salary. In case of non-metropolitan city, same rules. List of the following two is allowed as deduction in HRA. Actual allowance received is the first point. Second one is rent paid minus 10% of salary. But for third one is 40% of salary in case of non-metro cities. Okay. So hope this is clear. Here I did not mention that, so you can see in the in your textbooks or materials anywhere else. Okay, so whatever I said, you can concentrate on that. And next one is some other allowances, okay, where actually those are partly taxable allowances. So here you see uniform allowance, helper allowance, daily allowance, conveyance allowance, transfer allowance, academic allowance. Okay, if you observe these kind of allowances, these are partly taxable allowances. Some portion is taxable, some portion is not taxable. How much is taxable, how much is not taxable? Actual amount spent is allowed as exemption. So if he spends any amount, that is exemption, that is deduction, and unspent amount is taxable. Okay, so unspent amount is taxable. If he is not spending that amount, that is taxable. You should write under the head allowances. Hope this is clear, students. Okay, so if you observe these kind of allowances in the examination while calculating income from salary, these are partly taxable allowances. How much is taxable? Unspent amount is taxable. For example, employer is giving 5,000 allowance, he is spending only 3,000 and 2,000 is not spent. 2,000 is taxable. You should write 2,000 there in the allowances, under allowances. Hope this is clear. And next one is other allowances are, first one is children education allowance. These all are partly taxable allowances, students. Okay, so first one is children education allowance here. So least of the two is allowed as deduction. Okay, for all this, least of the two is allowed as deduction. First one is actual allowance received, actual children education allowance received. Second one is 100 per month per child, only for two children. So 100 per month per child, for two children it is allowed. Suppose 100 per month means for 1 year it is 100 into 12, 1200. For one child 1200, for two children 2400. Okay, you should write that. And least should be selected. Okay, and next one is least should be selected, that is allowed as deduction, and remaining amount is taxable. Least of these two is taken as deduction, exemption, and remaining amount is known as taxable. That you should write under the head allowances. Next, children hostel allowance. Least of these two is exemption. Okay, first one is actual allowance received, that will be available in the question. Second one is 300 per month per child, and it is limited only for two children. 300 per month, so for 12 months 300 into 12. Okay, and for one child 300 into 12, for two children 300 into 12 into 2. So that you should take here. So actual allowance received or this amount, whatever is least one, that will be selected as deduction, and the remaining amount is from total allowance. If you deduct deduction, then remaining amount, that is known as unexempted amount, that is taxable. You should write under the head allowances. Next, truck driver, air hostess allowance. Okay, least of the two allowed as deduction. So 70% of the allowance received, first one, second one 10,000 per month. So least of the two we should take if any truck driver, air hostess allowance is given in the question. Okay, next, transport allowance. If the assessee is a normal person, it is fully taxable, students. Okay, if the employee is a physically challenged person, okay, physically challenged person or handicapped or blind person, 3,200 per month is allowed as exemption. Okay, so this is about partly taxable allowances. Total allowances picture. So total allowances rules, here I explained all the allowances. So if you learn this, it is useful for theory question. If you will get this theory question, types of allowances in the examination, and these allowances total rules are useful whenever you go for calculating income from salary also, because in income from salary calculation, second head is allowances. When you will write, if it is taxable, so all fully taxable allowances you can write, tax free allowances you should not write, partly taxable allowances, unexempted portion you should write there. So you should know all the rules, students. Hope this is clear. So if you understand, like the video, share it and subscribe the channel. Thank you.